So I want to welcome, for those who don't know me, which I doubt anyone doesn't know me, I'm Ali Isa with Cafe Al Fikr. So I have a distinct honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Judge Stephanie Thacker. And I'd like to take just a minute or two to highlight some of her accomplishments. She graduated magna cum laude from Marshall University in 1987. Then she graduated Order of the Coif from West Virginia University College of Law, where she served as a member of the West Virginia Law Review and the editor of the call issue of the West Virginia Law Review. For the 20 years plus she practiced law, Judge Thacker worked both in the civil and the criminal litigation arenas. She served as the federal prosecutor for 12 years, both at the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of West Virginia and the Department of Justice in the Child Exploitation and Obscenity section. So during her tenure with the United States Attorney's Office, Judge Thacker served as a part of the trial team in the first federal domestic violence prosecution in the country. While with the Department of Justice, Judge Thacker rose through the ranks from trial attorney to principal deputy chief of the Child Exploitation and Obscenity section. During her time with the department, Judge Thacker prosecuted and went to trial on cases in multiple jurisdictions, spearheaded several nationwide initiatives, and ultimately was awarded the Attorney General's Distinguished Service Award. Following her tenure with the Department of Justice, Judge Thacker was a member of the law firm of Guthrie and Thomas here in Charleston, many of you are familiar with, where she engaged in litigation practice concentrating on complex litigation, environmental and taxic tort, and criminal defense. And here's the highlight. In September 2011, Judge Thacker was nominated by President Obama to fill a vacancy in the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. She was confirmed by the United States Senate on April 16, 2012. So the next level up is the Supreme Court. There is no other place to go other than that. So it's obviously it's our pleasure to have Judge Thacker with us. So I'm going to give you 3 interesting facts about Judge Thacker. So she went to Marshall, graduated in 1987. I went to Marshall and graduated in 1987. Who believes that she lived an apartment beneath me where we lived across from one of the business college? And so that's when we first met. It was 1985, I believe, where the first time that we met. So the second fact is that she loves to travel internationally and domestically. She's been to all of the states except 4 states. Anybody guess? Alaska? Yes, that's an easy one. Somebody Dakota. North Dakota. Good. No. Idaho. Yes. And then Mississippi. And the third interesting fact, not many people know this, I'd like you to give her a warm welcome because she is my sister-in-law. So Judge Thacker.
Thank you, sir.
So it's
oh, beautiful.
From Blinko.
It's got your.
And it's got our logo on it.
How nice.
So hopefully it will be either in your house or in your office.
No, this will be in my office in a place of prominence.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
So the good news, it's 9:30. The bad news is that you're not leaving. I do apologize. We went a little bit longer. I'm really gonna cut my remarks, very short. As much as I hate to do that, but I'm sure you guys love that a lot. But I'd like to share a story with you. So if I can have all ears. So there was Sheikh Mustafa. So there was a widow and had a little boy, 5, 6 years of age. They were very poor, lived in a house similar to this, 4 walls, 1 door, no roof, year round. One day, heavy rain began to fall and the house flooded. So the mom, the little boy, they're getting soaking wet. It's cold, it's rainy, it's stormy, it's scary, and the boy started to have some sort of a panic attack. All the mom was concerned about was the boy. How do I provide shelter to my son under this condition? And the only thing that she can think of was the door. So she took the hinges off the door and rested it diagonally against the wall so they could hide under the door as a shelter. So she takes her son, they hide under the door, and the mom starts to cry. So the little boy, so innocently and so sincerely and full with excitement and happiness, he says this: Mama, Alhamdulillah, fi anna bab. Say, Mama, thank God we have a door. Why do I tell you the story? In preparation for my remarks this evening, I was trying to find the right words to express our gratitude and our appreciation not only to the cafe team members, but to our donors. And believe it or not, I was lost for words. So when I came across this story and reflected on the innocence, the feelings that the boy was having, the feelings of innocence, sincerity, excitement, and happiness, that is exactly how we as the cafe team feel about every and single one of you. So we do thank you for all of your support. And without your support, we really could not do what we do. And it would not be motivational for us. And we're not talking about monetary support. We're talking about also your involvement and your engagement. So again, thank you very much. So we all know, remind myself and you with a verse from the Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. الذين ينفقون أموالهم بالليل والنهار سرا وعلانية فلهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا يحزنون. So those who spend their wealth by night and by day, secretly and publicly, they will have their reward with their Lord. You will be reciprocated. We know that. There is no question about that. And that is one of the reasons why you continue to support us. Because you know it is a sadaqah jariyah. You know there is a continuous charity. Generosity consists not the sum giving, but the manner in which it is bestowed. Here's what is really beautiful about this event. I sent out the invitations. I cannot tell you how many of you either called me, texted me, or emailed me, or when I ran into at the masjid, they said, Ali, how much should we bring? And to bring what and where? I said, to the dinner. I said, for what dinner? We're not having, are we having another Syrian fundraising dinner? I said, no, your cafe dinner. I said, it's a cafe donor appreciation dinner. It is to appreciate, show appreciation to you. What this tells us, you even give without even us asking. Not only that, but you give with such joy. And you give without conditions. There has not been a single one of you that have come and said, Ali, here is my time for this project, or here is my donation, my gift, but here's what I want in return. Here's a topic I want you to cover. First of all, you know I say no. Here's the door. But there are no conditions. Why? Because you are aligned with our mission. And that is what's so beautiful to us. You give but little when you give of your possessions, such as your money. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. There are some of you here who have donated their time with us by attending every single program, engage in a discussion, and not only that, but actually connected us with your own network to reach out to others and to accomplish our mission. That we appreciate tremendously, because our cafe team, we are a handful. With the support of our advisory committee, we are strong. But with the support of our donors and partners, we're even much stronger. So again, we do thank you not only for your presence, your attendance, but we do thank you for your presence, your donations, your gifts, when we do ask, and even when we don't ask. So our theme for 2014 was building bridges. And a lot of people asked throughout the year, why is that? And I gave several answers. But then I came across a story in November, and I saved it, and I think it sums it up. South African Ambassador Ibrahim Rasool, some of you may have met him. I know Saud and I have met him in DC. He said during the sermon on November 14th at the National Cathedral. So if you are in the dark, you need to Google the Friday sermon, November 14th at the National Cathedral. He said, the more bridges that are built, the less room there is for fear and prejudice between us. But here's an interesting part. Who was in the audience? It wasn't only Muslims, right? There was Muslims, and there were Jewish folks, and there was Christian folks, and non-faith. Prejudice between us, even among the Muslims, because it's evident of what's happening around the world. The more we bridge within our community and the larger community, the less prejudice and fear that we will have. And the less we will be in front of Judge Thacker one of these days. So what went well this year? As you know, we did the Cafe Leadership Summit. You're not in that picture? Must have been taking a nap. So this was not everybody, but it was the right time when we captured it. We had about 60-some people attend. But here's the the retreat, for those of you who did not attend, it was designed. It was focused on living with vision and purpose, and it was designed to develop leadership, character, and higher intellectual and ethical engagement with religion and society. But here's what came out of the leadership retreat that really kind of sums it up for us. On an international level, impact. It looks like I didn't put the slide. So, and all of these 4 collaborations that I'm going to mention, they are in progress. Collaboration between the Dr. Abdurrahman Zanabli on behalf of the Syrian American Medical Society, SAMS, and Ahmed Hashim on behalf of Boston Biopharma to develop a web-based education for Syrian nurses and doctors using a platform, MD Informatics. It's in progress. The connection was made. Hopefully, they hold one another accountable to help our folks in Syria. Another collaboration that is in progress between, again, SAMS and Ahmed Ashkar of Holt Prize. Holt Prize is sponsored by President Clinton, the Clinton Global Initiative, to provide humanitarian services to Syrians as post-war trauma. And that also is in progress. There's a collaboration between Ahmed Ashkar with Holt Prize and the Pakistan Literacy Fund, PLF, to amplify the good work that's being done on education in Pakistan. More on a regional level, collaboration between Duke University Islamic Studies and University of Charleston for promoting cultural and Islamic exchanges here in Charleston, West Virginia. What did we do on a national level? So all of you, or most of you know Muslim Public Affairs Council, MPAC. So they hosted a policy forum in DC. They invited about 50 American Muslims. Cafe Al-Fikr was invited, and we were represented very well when Dr. Saud Ashraf attended. Their title was Policy Changes and Opportunities Facing American Muslim Communities. They met for one day. During the day, they met with the State Department's special representatives to Muslim communities. They also met at the West Wing, where you see this picture, at the White House with President Obama's Homeland Security Advisor, Lisa Monaco. It was focused on how do we develop communities, bring our communities together to develop a set of priorities around the various policy issues that are consequential to how we can live as Americans. They chose 50 American Muslims in the United States. They knocked on a door on Cafe Al-Fikr. For those of you who are not familiar with Emerge USA, I encourage you to Google it. They're based in Florida. They are becoming strong in the swing states. So they hosted a benefit dinner in Washington, D.C. As you can see, four members of Congress were guest speakers. Cafe Al-Fikr was contacted. I was fortunate to attend on behalf of the team. Their theme was breaking barriers. They want to ensure that communities have the same constitutional rights, privileges, and political opportunities afforded to all Americans. What did we do on a local level? We were invited by the University of Charleston School of Pharmacy, and Dr. Saud Ashraf presented on behalf of CAFE on Islamic perspective on a topic titled Application to Healthcare Delivery Towards a Religion and Cultural Understanding. We were invited by the Charleston Rotary Club through our connection with Sky Kirshner, and asking us, now mind you, asking us present on what does it mean to be an American? What was your experience of coming and becoming an American citizen, living in this beautiful country? We were also a benefactor for the 21st annual Jim Dent dinner. We're benefiting KPCC, our partner. And as you can see, the one that is missing in the middle is Letha Zook. She is part of the advisory committee, and she's the vice president. She's the provost at the University of Charleston. She's the head of faculty there, and she couldn't be with us this evening. All of what we do is because of you. And there is one note. When we travel on our own expenses. It is not your money. We pay for our own expenses when we travel. We're not big enough yet to expense that. I want to make that very clear. And we try to eat very little amounts. And a matter of fact, my wife can testify, I did not even eat this evening. So what's for the future? We did well. Our theme for 2015 is to rise. We chose this theme 2 months ago before all of the recent violence attacks that are happening around the world. Cafe Al Fikr now is more fitting for our community, for our purpose, because people look for dialogue. People look for a platform of respect to have a dialogue, and we do offer that. So we rise as not only as American Muslims, we basically rise as citizens, simply as citizens. As a father, as a son, as a brother, as a neighbor, as an employee, we just need to rise with dignity and grace. Above all, we need to rise above negativity and limitations, because that's what's happening right now with the Muslim world. It's nothing but negativity and limitations. And if we are reminded with the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he did not react the way that the violent people are reacting right now. That was not his motto. So we need to rise to that occasion and hold ourselves to those standards. One of the ways we want to do that is bring humor. Everybody thinks we're violent, Muslims and extremists. And so we partnered with KPCC, and we are bringing Maysoon Zayed. So Maysoon Zayed has cerebral palsy. So she has a disorder. She uses disorder as a way to rise above her disorder and use it as an inspirational, motivational story. She is an Arab American Muslim Palestinian, lives in New Jersey. She is on TED Talk. She has traveled many countries speaking about cerebral palsy and humor and health. So we are hosting her on February 21st. There is opportunity for sponsorship if you're interested. We already had a couple of people that have come forth. We have not actually solicited any because we have not knocked on many doors yet. But if you're interested to be a partner, by all means, help yourself. And tickets are also available. So we hope that every single one of you will let your friends and family members know. And I want to leave, we started with a verse from the Quran. I would like to leave with a verse from the Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا. So verily, with the hardship, there is relief. So in other verses of the Quran, it says, after hardship, there is relief. But in this one, it says, with the hardship, there is relief. What does it mean? There is attack on us, but where's the bright side? We have to find the bright side. Life is problematic. We all know that. It's not rosy. Do we look at the glass half full or half empty? It basically comes down to that. Are we proactive or are we reactive? We've been reactive, which means that we are below the line, which means we are negative, which means that we are victimizing ourselves. If we are above the line, then we're positive, and we hold ourselves to higher standards. So we need to rise, obviously. This is a perfect verse to tell us, you have difficulties, don't focus on the negative, find the positive. And with that, I conclude my remarks. And I do want to thank you again for coming. And as you know, it's an intimate gathering. It's only by invitation. Everybody knows everybody. And we truly, truly appreciate and we look forward to your continuing partnership and having also side discussions in the near future. So, Assalamu alaikum. Now you can go eat. Are there any questions or any comments or any remarks? Because we are free to go, but is there anything pending? Any burning sensation to speak? I'm sorry, guys, listen up. We have one question.
Do you have any branches for Cafe Al Fikr in any other state?
Very good question.
Are we only in West Virginia, or you guys are part of
Excellent question. Did you? This is my trouble table. So did you hear the question? Okay. So the question is Cafe Al Fikr in West Virginia only, or is it in other states? Who knows the answer?
It is in other states.
One of the founders is in other states.
Yeah. So the co-founder is in Tennessee. So that is the correct answer. The actual correct answer is that we are not in any other state. This is something that we studied hard and long, and we've actually consulted with many organizations through our networking. And then we finally came to the conclusion as a team, we would like to be in a lot of states. But here's why we did not. We know every single one of you. We know every single member of the cafe team. We know every single cent, where it's coming from. If there is an audit, if there is a question, if there is any skepticism, here are the books. I know how to answer everybody. If we open up chapters in other states, we open up a can of worms of not knowing who these individuals are. Where is the money coming from? And one bad apple, we know, could be the end of cafe. So we decided to make it the grassroots in West Virginia. And that's why Saud, Anil, and I, and Feroz, we travel to different parts of the states, some by invitations and some to solicit, actually developing and building bridges. So it's harder on us that way, but we know that we stay within our ethical guidelines. Very good question.
I'm really impressed by, your group, mashallah, has already made it to the White House. And it's only from West Virginia. It's considered to be,
Yes.
not really that big state. And I think if we are more represented nationally, I think we have more weight.
Yes.
That's my point.
We do. That's a good point. And actually, this is our second time in the White House, by the way. We are fortunate because we have been trained well on networking and leadership principles. So when we strategize with the right people that are well connected in politics. And when we host them, they say, and I'm quoting, Cafe Al Fikr is the jewel of West Virginia. Cafe Al Fikr is the hidden treasure of West Virginia. Those are two quotes that we have received from high-ranked national folks. The White House gave us feedback when we went there that we don't have anybody from the Muslim community from West Virginia that come and knock on our door. We were the first group to go 2 years ago. So that gave us inspiration to do a better job of networking within our community to have a solid base, financial base, so that we can further pursue our goals.
We're really proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. There is one thing that I can say that can maybe, there are actually two things. One is a challenge that I am throwing to my community, and in particular to maybe SAMS and SAC. It's time that, so SAMS, by the way, for those who don't know, Google it and be part of it, even though if you're not a physician. They went from last year a $15 million budget in 1 year to a $13 million budget. Their goal, 5-year plan, to raise $100 million. In 1 year, they are 1/3 there. This is under the leadership of a local Syrian American Muslim physician in Charleston, Dr. Abdurrahman Zanabli. So my challenge is this. They specialize in humanitarian aid. We need to start thinking about the lost generation of the Syrian folks. If Syria to be rebuilt right now, it's going to take it 20, 25 years. These kids are not getting education right now. we need to start thinking about developing a fund for literacy for those Syrian folks, similar to what they've done in Pakistan. And she became the mother-in-law of Fatima, Fatima's mother, the mother-in-law of Saud, because of her work on literacy in Pakistan. She became one of the 100 most influential women in Pakistan, and might be in the world. I'm not, but anyway, she's up there, and she gets invited to the White House, to the State Department, and to other organizations. We need to start thinking about these kids that don't have it. Yes, they have clothes now and they have tents, but we need to think about their education. What else can we do? The second thing that I want to say is also I want to challenge our community is that we are not politically connected. We don't think that far. So one of our objectives this year is to force ourselves to be connected. Reaching out to Fazl, Asad, Stephanie, who do you know that we can reach out to the congressmen in West Virginia, the senators? We would like to have a meeting with them. So our goal is to have a political campaign where we can reach out to them and host them either at one time or several times and let them learn about us. And we can learn more about them and see if we can be a bargaining tool.
Most of them are Republican now, so you'll have to help us out on that.
Yes. And CEC and Stephanie is a Democrat, so but she does have good rapport with many, obviously. But she's liberated. But that is something that we need to start doing, and inshallah, in God's willing, we can achieve that. Start this dialogue. So anyway, I'm taking much of your time. I really appreciate it. I can go on, as you know. I'm not out of words when I start going. But if there are no questions, thank you for the question. But if there are no questions, you are free to go.